All right, boys, we're jumping right into it. Blizzard's reveals Diablo's 4 full item rework. I watched I'd probably say I watched like 20 minutes of this campfire chat just throughout the day. I saw they're basically going from 4 affixes to 3 on most items. Everybody was sitting there bitching about that like a bunch of brain dead kids. I actually think it's a W because now the affixes actually kind of mean something instead of just kind of 8 to 12% vulnerable damage. Now it's more like 20 to 30 or whatever it was. I'm trying to think of what else I saw before we actually get into the video. I mean, they basically, I saw a bunch of this stuff. I'm trying to think. I mean, obviously we all know they kind of took a little something from last epoch with the forging potential type deal, but I'm curious to see what else I missed, and we'll see. I think it's gonna bring a lot of people back to D4.
Let's talk about itemization changes. Diablo 4 just had its campfire chat, and it showed the entirety of what they're going to be doing in terms of changing itemization, as well as adding crafting, how to get the materials for crafting, and adding some different gameplay loops. So let's talk about all of it starting now.
Oh, before he gets into it, that's actually, I knew they were doing something a little bit with the crafting with like the last epoch stuff. I also did hear that they like you're going to be able to basically trade everything at this point other than uber uniques. I know some people are going to be upset that they, can't trade their best friend their uber unique, or they basically can't just farm gold the entire season and then just go buy a Harlequin crest. I think that's great, to be honest. Part of what makes, I think, a typical Path of Exile league so cool is that those super, super top tier items, yes, you can trade for them, but they are so expensive that the average person, they can't afford to trade them. Obviously, last season with the League of Affliction, a little bit of a different story because everybody was getting insane drops. But your typical POE person cannot just go and get a mirror or go and get the insane basically like uber uniques that they have in the game as well. But I think the trading and them kind of setting up like a bit of an ecosystem, Diablo is still more casual. It's not meant to be like PoE. But just adding this and kind of maybe dipping their toes in it and see what happens. W idea. So we'll see here.
First thing they mentioned, they're going to make a smaller pool of affixes, basically removing the stats that are the damage on Tuesday memes nobody cares about. Weird stuff like lucky hit on critical, if damage over time type of stuff. They're going to be simplifying these stats. They also mentioned that sacred items are in World Tier 3 only, ancestral items are in World Tier 4 only.
I think all of this so far is really good. Only sacred items in World Tier 3. I think maybe it would be kind of cool, like if maybe ancestrals had a low chance of dropping, but at the end of the day, cut it dry. Who cares? Sacred World Tier 3. I was so tired of seeing sacred drops in World Tier 4. This is one way to kind of counter that problem. I will still stand firm on, I do think D4 needs a loot filter. They kind of sat there and talked about how there's too much stuff on the ground and all this stuff. And I like the approach that they took, but I do think we need a loot filter eventually at some point, like please. And I think that will just go such a long way. I don't see how you have an ARPG without a loot filter, but I like this. This cuts it very simple. It gives people that incentive to go to 4 kind of as quickly as possible.
So you're no longer getting drops you don't want. They mentioned this many times, but they want to focus on quality over quantity. They're going to be reducing the amount of loot that you actually get, but each of the items should feel impactful, was the way they describe this. Part of the way they are doing this is actually removing some of the affixes on items. For instance, legendaries are going 4 to 3, rares are going 4 to 2. There will be less affixes per items, but that is because of how the crafting works. We would just talk about something you might be thinking looking at this is, okay, well, this makes rare items worthless. What about the trading economy? Well, they're opening up trading now to legendary items as well. So trading can now include legendary drops that you get before you craft on them.
This can you trade uniques though? So I knew they 100% confirmed said that you cannot trade uber uniques. And you also, I don't know if he's going to hit on this, but once you craft on something, it is also then account bound, which I'm okay with. I'm totally all right with that. I don't need it to be a full fucking ecosystem like Path of Exile. That's to me like what kind of separates it. Like that's what makes PoE so fun. I don't necessarily need all of my ARPGs to feel the same. But let me know if we can you trade uniques? I need to know that. I know no Ubers. What about normal ones?
This is one of the examples they used of a before and after of items. So you can see here damage to shadow over time affected, lucky hit, chance to execute.
Yeah, see, this is what I mean. Like 38 to 52 intelligence, which obviously that's great, right? But now the new minimum is almost 20 more than the maximum of the previous roll. So I think this is really good. The seven, like, look at this 12.5 to 19.5% vulnerable damage. Like, no, boys, big dick, 30 to 40%, bing bong, and easy peasy.
And now it's just intelligence, damage, vulnerable damage. They're trying to simplify these stats. You can know this as.
I know you said, like, I just want all games to have no bound items ever. That I do too. It's just like going about that. It's hard, right? Like PoE obviously has got it figured out, and as much as we kind of clown the D4 for copying Last Epoch, like it is hard to do, and you have to. There's a way to go about that in your community to avoid people being sleazy with that kind of stuff. But it would be great.
3 instead of 4 affixes. That is the base item, and you can actually go up to 5 affixes now because of the way the crafting will work, which we'll talk about in just
Oh
a
shit,
second.
I didn't know that.
Legendary items are now always 925 power if dropped from a monster level 95 plus. This way, they're really trying to reduce the amount of garbage items that you see.
This is huge. 925 from any monsters that are level 95 up. Like, you guys do realize you don't have to be far into Nightmare Dungeons to be fighting 95 enemies, and they're going to drop 925. I think this is, that's absolutely massive.
See on the ground, part of the reason is they're still not adding a loot filter in the game. So if you're wanting a loot filter, that is not going to be happening, and they talked about that. But part of their logic was, well, we're going to be reducing the amount of garbage that's on the ground. All of the items should hopefully be impactful.
Right, which I'm totally okay with. If the game doesn't need a loot filter, I'm okay with it not having it. It's just, it's weird to think that an ARPG doesn't have a loot filter. That's all.
They're also consolidating materials, meaning all of these different herbs and everything you have to find around the map. Now it's just one type of herb. They're trying to make the crafting of these materials less annoying. They're also capping the reroll cost on enchanting items, so it no longer goes infinitely to the point of basically you can brick items. And they're, like I said, they're consolidating the materials, and the Forgotten Souls are now dropping from Whispers and rarely dropping from globally from elites as well. So they're just trying to make it a little bit easier to get all these random materials you need. The gyms, they say they're going to make simpler, better, and have a much longer crafting tail, though we don't go into more detail on that. We didn't get much of that.
I'll be curious to see what they do with the gems. You know, they've always, so you have Diablo 3 and obviously the beginning of D4, like you had a blue gem that had like 4 tiers within itself, right? And it's like, is that really needed? Like, I get it, it made sense for Diablo 3 at the time, but do we really need all of that extra shit? Especially when they sit here and they try to pick that poison between, are we trying to cater to casual or hardcore? Like, either one, I think in that point, having all of the extra gem, like, it's weird to say levels, I don't really know the word for it, but the different levels of the same gem, it was just kind of meh. So I'll be curious to see what they do with that. He said they didn't get much into it, but who knows? We'll see.
During the campfire, but gyms are supposed to basically be better. One of the
They can't be much worse.
best received.
I hope you don't have to like when you load into a zone. I hope that your gems don't get loaded in there as well with your whole stash.
Changes so far was the fact that the Codex of Power now not only has keyword search and filter, but also allows you to imprint your best version of legendaries into.
I saw this too, and I really do like this. It was always kind of like just a pain in the fucking ass messing with the aspects and stuff. It just felt too tedious. It felt like it was too many like extra steps, while this just seems like so much more of a simpler thing.
To them. So if you get something that's a max row, you can put that into the Codex of Power and store that there, and then reuse it as many times as you would like. And
this is great too, because then you are set for the season. Obviously, your max roll isn't gonna. I forget if they said like you're only gonna be able to get like max rolls maybe in World Tier 3 or 4. That could be completely wrong. But like this is good. Like, this is a great change.
Also, your affixes of the legendary will increase with world tier. So your world tier 3 will be stronger than world tier 2 affixes, 4 will be stronger than 3. So you'll be upgrading your codex of power and storing them there. That is supposed to do two things, one of which is supposed to be less annoying and make it where you don't have to sit there and make a mistake about like, oh, saving your affix for a better item later. But it also will help with item storage because you're not going to have to store.
I hated that. I forget what the aspect was. I always ran the rogue, the twisting blades thing, and it was always so irritating when I got a decently rolled one. Um and I would have to either hold on to it, debate like is it worth putting on here now while I'm leveling? No, I'm just going to stash it. And it was like, why? Why can I not just use this? I again, W change. This is great so far.
All of these affixes anymore. This seemed to be one of the most well-received changes due to the fact that people have literally been asking for this change since the start of the game. Another thing about this is all legendary affixes are now here. The Codex of Power is no longer limited to just the ones from the dungeons. You can put all affixes into the game, or from the game into the Codex. This is where we get into tempering. Tempering is effectively adding new affixes onto the legendary items. So you start with 3 and you can add 2 new affixes onto the legendary items. You learn these recipes, and this is how you add it. These recipes here are these manuals that you learn, and once you learn them, you can use these in the tempering menu, which I would.
Okay, so I remember that this is honestly, I was sitting with the baby, and then we had to go down for a nap. So this is pretty much when I stopped watching. I guess I'm just confused here. So if you learn this recipe here, right? I learn it, pick it up, however you want to do it. Like, is when I apply this to a weapon, am I basically hoping, say I'm doing a Bone Storm build, right? And I want this on there. It's RNG. You know what? You know what? I'm not even gonna say anything. I'm not gonna say anything because this just depends, right? Because me and Last Epoch, I love that as long as I have the materials for it and I want to craft said thing on my gear, I can. There's no RNG. The only thing that is RNG is the number right here, which that's totally cool. I'm okay with. But if you have a whole bunch of these, right? Like if these are just dropping out the wazoo in World Tier 4, maybe not out the wazoo, but you know what I mean, dropping at least decently, then great. And the amount of forging potential it eats. True. Okay. All right.
We show you in just a moment, and each of these different manuals will have a number of affixes that could be applied, so there is some RNG associated with crafting the affixes onto items. This is what the menu actually looks like. This is the item beforehand. This is afterhand. You're going to notice there's tempered affixes.
So here you go. You're saying, I think you, once you learn the recipe, you have it forever, not like you have X amount. Okay, that's a W then. That's great. I'm here for it.
There's 2
that was basically kind of like my only like con with it, because honestly, like I said, I think this looks very good so far. So that evens it out.
is because you can add 2 different affixes onto them. You can temper it up to 5 total times, meaning you can add 2 and then replace it 3 times, etc. If you don't get the one you want, this is almost like forging potential from Last Epoch. For instance, you get 5 instances of activating the tempering, and you can have 2 different tempered affixes onto items. So you can see here you go from 3 to 5 of these affixes.
Great.
When you go to temper the item, you're going to have this menu show up here, which will actually allow you to select either offensive, weapons, defensive, utility, etc., based upon the item. For instance, this is a weapon, so he can do.
Yeah, guys, it's not almost like Last Epoch. It pretty much is almost exactly Last Epoch. It'd be funny shit if they accidentally said forging potential during the campfire. I'm surprised they didn't, man. I would have.
Weapons and offensive style affixes. And you can see here when he clicks on the offensive category, these are the different manuals we were talking about earlier that allows you to see what the different recipes from using this could actually end up being. So you could select one of them, then temper the.
Wait, so what is it taking down here? I'm just checking out the mats for it. Oh, okay. Well, I mean, this is. I wonder if it'll actually cost no gold. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. These mats are fat down here, like that. That's fair, but I'm assuming it won't actually cost 0 gold. But whatever. Yeah. I mean, W, man.
Item, and that tempering item will slam on.
I remember this right here. Here's my only complaint with this. This animation needs nerfed already. It doesn't need to be this long.
One of these affixes from the manual you actually.
If I have to sit here and spam roll shit and I have to sit there for that animation every time, I'm out. I wonder if you can just close it right away. I hope so. And then that I do remember this. This was talked about a lot in the chat. I'm sure they saw it. They'll figure it out. I'm not actually gonna sit here and say that, oh, that's bad. Like I do think deep down, I truly do believe that if enough people complain about this, they'll be able to, decrease the time a little bit.
Actually choose. Hopefully you get the one you want, and you can see there you now have a plus of the damage. Something else that can drop are greater affixes. Effectively, you can get variants of ancestral items that drop that can have greater affixes, aka the affixes are mega juice, which will have a 1.5 multiplier of the maximum row. So if the maximum was 100, you can get an affix that will drop with a 150 max out row. That is what a greater affix is now going to be. These
Oh wow! So exalted items. Yeah, T7 exalted items checks out 100%.
only appear on ancestral items, but do in fact appear on unique items. So uniques can have mega juiced out affixes of really good stats. This is an example that they used here. The one on the left is a basic row. The one on the right, you can see it has these little red diamonds here, and that shows that it rode 2 greater affixes. You can row multiple greater affixes on an item. This is very similar to like exalted items, for instance, if you are familiar with Last Epoch. There is going to be a master working system that allows you to upgrade an item 12 times. When you upgrade an item, it will upgrade all of the stats slightly, but then every 4 ranks, a single affix will be massively upgraded. A total of 12 ranks can be upgraded.
All right, wait. Improve the value of your current affixes so you have 12 upgrade ranks. So it's kind of like when you upgraded, at the blacksmith, I think it was. Slightly increase the value of all affixes. Every 4 ranks a single Oh, I like this. I love that he's keeping professional and he knows damn well. Right, he knows. This is good. Every 4 ranks a single affix, so I'm assuming that'll be RNG as well. Great. Massively upgraded. I'm curious to see what that massive upgrade is.
Meaning you could get lucky and slam that same affix 3 times. So the obvious combo is you get a greater affix of like a damage, and then you up masterwork it to 4, it rows damage again, to 8 rows damage again, and then 12 and it damage again, and oh my god.
So you can reset these, but you will lose the resources you put into it. Okay, fair.
You got lucky, it triple rode on the greater affix, meaning you can really juice some of these stats. This is
I'm gonna be so honest, guys. Like this, I'm not trying to sit here and meat ride Diablo 4, man. Like, even with all this stuff that I'm hearing, it probably is still the bottom ARPG out of I personally consider PoE, Last Epoch, Diablo 4 the big 3, right? But like this is really good. Like this has me genuinely, I don't think I've been this excited about a Diablo since launch, because I liked season 2 a lot, right? But I wasn't like super excited to. I happened to just get on and was like, oh man, like this is actually pretty good. And don't get me wrong, I know we're only 4 seasons in, but like I can't wait to play Diablo right now. Like I really wish that this was live today so I could just get on. Unfortunately, it's not, and I'm just gonna play, something else. But I'm excited. Diablo fan. Yes, Diablo fans should definitely be very excited.
This is an example they use. This is at rank 2, rank 3 in the.
Oh wait, so let me see here. 5.1 to 5.3. So what did it go off? Oh, like the max life, 880, then boosted up to 920, all the way up to 11. I like it. That's good stuff.
Rank 4, and you can see critical strike goes up. Here, you can see the vulnerable damage goes up, and then you can see the life goes up as well. And they said these other stats should be increasing too. This is just a display bug glitch, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, but the concept of this, and as long as this is executed the way that they're, talking about it, I think this is great. This is awesome.
The reason it is.
And what's crazy is look at the plus max life that you're getting here, and it's only Masterwork 4 out of 10. Like, I think and this is what gets me really excited, right? Because when we talk about Diablo 4, it's always been you have to play it their way. If you're not running X amount of like these builds, you're not going to have a lot of fun. And at this point, I need a build guide for PoE, but I didn't build guide Last Epoch pretty much at all. Obviously, you know, I have friends that we bounce ideas off of each other, and we did it that way, which totally great. And there's nothing wrong with following a build guide, but like this makes me think, like, oh damn, I might just be able to roll up in here, freehand this, and get decently far into nightmare dungeons. And that was one of the biggest reasons why I didn't really want to go back and play season 3, is just because it still felt like it was, you need to play our way. While I feel like this is just going to open up so many different builds. This is good.
Blue here, as you can see that this one has been slammed with the rank 4, so it got lucky, and that was the one that ended up getting the big single greater affix bonus. Well, not greater affix, master rework bonus. So this is went blue because it got the single masterwork rank 4. So at 4, 8, and 12 is when you get that, and it got a blue one. If it hit it twice, it would actually become yellow. They actually show an example of this because you can see here, blue is a single, yellow is a double slam. So this is a Masterwork 12. There was 3 total of those major slams. It hit this one twice, which is why it's yellow.
Holy good God. Imagine if you rolled, like, of course they're going to show the best of the best, and you're going to have to grind to get this kind of stuff. But dude, a 45% damn. This is crazy.
That one once, which is why it's blue. And you can see that it increased these stats as well. The vulnerable damage went from 38 to 55%, even though it didn't get slammed with those big single individual.
Right, that's what I love. I love that they're still just upgrading like everything. Because think about like this, like 38% vulnerable damage increase, like that's good. Of course, this is close to max roll. It's 2% off of the max roll. But then going still like that, not even being your big thing, up to 55. This is great.
Ones, it increases all the stats. And obviously you can see they had tempered this one as well. So the idea is you're going to want to temper, get the stats you want, then do the master rework on it as well. And hopefully you're doing this on an item that the original base had greater affixes also. Speaking of items, they mentioned that there's going to be a new Uber unique they showed here on my left.
Plus 18 to all stats. Okay, not bad. 5% maximum resistance to all elements. Not bad. 11. So this is basically just a whole bunch of resistance, 10% damage reduction. While at full life, your skills unleash a divine bear. Love it. I'm here for it.
And they also mentioned there's double the total amount of uniques actually coming to the game. So there's a significant.
Wait, whoa, 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 whoa. Did he just say what I think he just said?
Mentioned there's double the total amount of uniques actually coming to the game. So there's.
Who is this and what have they done with Blizzard? Who is this and what have they done with Blizzard, guys? What? Did Microsoft come in and say, guys, fix it or you're done? Dude, this is great. This is great. Phil Spencer said time to get to work. You're fucking right. This is awesome, man. This is awesome.
There's a significant increase in terms of overall uniques. At this point, they went into class update balance changes. I'm not going to go through all of these. We're primarily going to focus on the itemization changes and the in-game update changes, but basically minions are getting quite a bit of love. There's some nice changes to Sorceress. You can pick through the live stream if you want to see more. We're going to focus on itemization and in-game. One thing I should mention, though, is the way flat damage works is actually changing. It scales based upon your weapon damage. So as your weapon becomes stronger, so does the flat damage, and they're buffing flat damage in general. They make it feel more rewarding for these types of legendary properties. They are also changing the function of a lot of items to make them more usable for people in Gimro. For instance, this used to be a core skill. Now this is just your skills in Gimro. So they're trying to make it less limiting for a lot of items.
Good. Like I said, this is what I mean, where like it just felt like it was like you need to play this way. Like it just give that expansion. You know what I mean? Let people come up with all these crazy builds. Like, I don't know, if I was making a game, right, and I saw somebody come out with a busted build that like I never saw before, like I wouldn't look at that and be like, oh, that's bad, like not good. Like I'd be like, holy shit, like we never even thought that. That's great. Like that's innovative. I think they're gonna get a lot of crazy builds that come out of this. This is good.
Also, a shout out here, they are removing the Elixir of Death and the Cheat Death enchantment. So now hardcore is actually hardcore. Helltide is getting an update. There's higher density.
Oh, okay, wait. I'm gonna be honest. I'm so meh on Helltide. Higher density, great, because I felt like I constantly walked through areas and there was nothing to do. Um, meter builds up when killing monsters, spawns Hellborn, and awesome. I love it. Lots of ambushes and dynamic monster spawnings. Great. New content. Whoa, dude. There's no way we're actually getting new content in Endgame. I'm serious, guys. This isn't Blizzard anymore. Um, Rare summoning materials drop during the tide used to summon the Blood Maiden, a public event boss. Oh my god, this is actually genius. So what they did is they took the concept that they had from the was it the Blood Harvest, I think from season 2 it was called. I might get called out in the comments if I'm wrong about that, but like the basically the Blood Harvest in within Helltide, this is fucking great, man. And then a bunch of new events and Harbingers to keep it fresh.
They're putting the blood type mechanics of threat-based minion spawn being added into this as well, and they're overall just trying to buff Helltide. This is also a good time to mention that there is going to be an increase in experience across the board, a fairly significant one in World Tier 2, 3, and 4. A new boss.
Dude, dude, this is great. This is so great. I wish that it was like this from the beginning. But hey, we're not even out of here yet. I heard they're gonna push it back a little bit, like it was for April 14th or something like that. I don't know if that's actually true or not, if it's getting pushed a little bit, but dude, great, awesome. This is so good. What's this here? New challenger arrives. Andriel summoning parts of the Beast of Ice and the Lord of Zur. Okay. Same drop tables as Duriel. May 14th. Damn, they went back a whole month. Oh, that's okay. That's fine. It is what it is.
Is coming to the game, and Dario has been much requested to come back. It is coming back. Use the summoning parts from the Beast Device and Lord Zur, and now has the same drop table as Dario, so it is another way in which you can attempt to get drops that you one from Uber Dario, but this time you can use the other materials for it as well.
Awesome.
There's a system coming to the game called the Pit. The Pit is where you're going to get the materials for the Master Working, so you're going to want to do it. It starts at level 100, and the Pit is effectively almost like greater rifts. This is sort of like AOZ. You can open these rifts, go in there. It continues to scale and become more and more difficult, and it's going to be RNG. What's on the inside? You kill the boss at the end. You get some of the materials you're going to need. This here was a an early access version here that they were actually showing live of this.
Oh my god. Dude, we're so back. We're so fucking back. I might cry right now, dude. Holy fuck. Dude, the boys are gonna be back on Diablo. D4 decent. D4 decent. Let's go, man.
So you're going to go into this basically a greater rift or AOZ type of rift, and it's supposed to be a more accessible one. That starts at level 100. You farm through it. Very similar to what we've seen before with AOZ, and it's very similar to greater rift style, basically, is what it boils down to. But this is where you're going to be getting...
Oh, it said floor 1.
Materials that you need. The other thing about this is going to drop the stones, and the stones are going to be used for a new Uber version of bosses. So now there's actually a level 200 variant of bosses that will drop you more rewards that are like Durio, Lord Zir, all of the ladder bosses is what they call them. All of those style bosses that you have to summon actually have like a mega variant of these bosses now that will give you better rewards as well in terms of quantity. So that is something to keep in mind. If you want to have an additional challenge, there will be a higher tier one. And my understanding of these bosses is they also drop a resplendent spark, which you need for Uber crafting as well. So if you kill each one of these, you can eventually get yourself, and you can straight up craft an Uber unique. So that is a pretty cool way of doing that too.
There's no way. There's no... I'm trying to sit here objectively and take away the hype that I'm feeling and look at this stuff and say, how can this be bad? I really don't have anything, man. Like this is a fucking W, dude.
At
There's
the
no
end of
debate.
it here, he showed the different materials you're going to need to acquire in order to do masterworking, which you get from the pit. Then they wrapped up with a Q&A, and some people noticed that the camera seemed more zoomed out, which is true. Coming with season 4, there is going to be a more zoomed out camera. So
get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here, dude. There's no way. There's no shot, dude. Oh my god. I know, dude. I know it's fucking. It's not about the actual camera zooming out itself. That's not what I'm excited about. I'm excited that these are things that the community has been saying since launch, and they're happening. I obviously execution. We'll all find out. I'm not gonna get like. I know I'm girling right now about it right now, but like I'm gonna, we'll see how season 4 goes. But man, this is D4 good, I think, right now.
That has been a much requested thing as well. In fact, the Codex of Power plus the camera seem to be some of the changes people like the best currently in the game. Also announced that they're going to need to be extending Season 3, so that way Season 4 PTR can come out April 2nd to April 9th in order to get enough feedback.
Oh, wait. Isn't this like the public people can do, like, you can just basically go on and, like, start testing Season 4? Is that how this works? They're out of the basement standing in the kitchen right now? Exactly. Oh, so we'll be able to, like, obviously nothing is perma, but we can at least go in and play at the start of April? Dude, that's only like what do we got, a week? A week and some change. Dude, let's go. I'll 100% hop on for PTR. I don't give a shit. Oh, wait, actually, I mean, that's probably going to be pretty close to Path of Exile time, so I don't know about the PTR 100%. I will try, though. I'll definitely try, though, especially if it's only the 2nd through the 9th. I got plenty of time to play PoE League. This is great. I'll definitely try to give it a shot.
Back to make sure all the bugs are fixed,
PoE's the
etc.
29th.
Which means Season 3 now ends May 14th, and that is when Season 4 will be starting as well. So overall, the new gameplay loop is effectively you go through the world tiers, you get better and better affixes, which you put into the Codex of Power. You continue to try to get greater affix drops on legendary items. You then take those legendary items and you temper them. After tempering them, you're going to masterwork and try to get multiple, basically, crits onto the good affix that you want to buff up. At that point, you will just continue pushing the pits. In order to get the material for the masterworking, you're going to need to do the pit literally anyway. So the new baseline entry is monster level 100 in order to enter into the masterworking, and you're going to be going through the cycle of upgrading your gear continually by masterworking to rank 12.
I'm here
trying to
for
get
it.
good greater affix drops, and
I love
get
it.
crits on the right one, and that is the new way you max out your power. You're still going to need to do dungeons for glyph experience, etc., but the pit is where you're going to both be getting.
That's fine, man. Nobody has a problem doing nightmare dungeons. I'm going to be so honest, like, now that you can just teleport to a nightmare dungeon entrance and you're good, the issue that people had was it was the only fucking thing to do, and there was nothing else. This is awesome.
Stones, as well as upgrading your items and getting those masterwork items. Now, keep in mind that something else that they mentioned is that randomly monsters will give you loot explosions and also drop monster or boss materials as well. So as you're grinding this, you should be getting both these explosions of loot, as well as you will get some boss material just randomly from killing some of the monsters as well. Overall, if you're wondering my take on what it seems like the reception of people are currently, is that the itemization changes seem pretty good. The fact that the camera is going to be zoomed out, people are obviously liking. The Codex of Power change, and the fact that it's quality over quantity should help some of the item stash issues, etc., all seem like good changes. The in-game changes and additions such as the pit or the farm the masterwork stuff and the new uber versions of bosses that are now like level 200, etc., are basically types of concepts we've already seen implemented in the game. So maybe that's not as exciting, for instance.
Oh, I don't
whereas
care.
The itemization stuff actually seems decent, in my own personal opinion. So that's where it's at. We'll have to see if you guys enjoy it when it comes to the game, and the PTR will be out in April, and we can all get our hands on it and see what we actually think about it ourselves. Until then, that is the recap and basically everything that's important from the chat.
No bad news. It's crazy. I'm proud of Phil for causing this an actual factual Diablo 4 W. This is exactly this is what I mean. Oh, and he's also tomorrow he's dropping PoE 2 footage and commentary. As soon as his NDA lifts. Let's go, dude. He's fucking killing it, man. He is just absolutely running the ARPG space right now. I love it. Side effect of drastically reducing the number of items you get, the stash will feel bigger. True. Yeah, I mean, no need to add more stash space if you're just giving them less items. Fucking right. I love it. Um, we would like to thank everyone for the last year of beta testing. We are proud to announce Diablo 4 1.0 will launch on Monday, May 14th. Oh, well, I mean, of course you can't forget about Ziz. I'm saying like he's up there with him. You know what I mean? Like he's I don't know. I think he's right up there. The community has genuinely had to rebuild the game systems for them. Yeah, I mean, listen. Oh well. Codex of power changes are great. That will free up 75% of the BS I store in the stash. Exactly, dude. So much stash space was wasted from that shit. Codec change is absolutely amazing. This actually looks good. I'm surprised, especially the zoomed out camera is highly appreciated. It is. Oh my god, I don't understand why they just didn't do it forever ago, but oh well, we have it here. Um, Not even halfway through 406, and I'm already happy with these changes. Yeah, I was freaking out by that point. I feel like D4 can finally catch up to Diablo 3. Let's go, man. Um, my take on this, man, is there was nothing negative that was that came out of this. Um I'm saying that as an ARPG fan, not even as a Diablo fan. Like um it was just so many things that everybody has been asking for, and they finally hit on almost everything. um, I'm sure people are, gonna still troll once we all get done and be like, oh, I'm done the pit and I'm done all this. What's there to do? But from a seasonal player perspective, man, there's plenty of things to do within a season now. I personally hated Hell Tides before. I'm glad that, last season, um, I think it was last season or maybe it was season 2 that they basically made it so that the Hell Tide runs 55 minutes out of the hour. That was massive. That made me appreciate a little bit more, but I just didn't really, I still wasn't a fan. But if you're telling me that you're going to up the density, up the bosses, just make the fucking Helltide fun to play, I'm so in, man. I'm so in. This is great. Um, you're still farming Uber Duriel, bro. I switched to Super Duper Uber the other day. Way better drops. I should be able to beat Super Duper Giga Duriel. See, this is awesome. I if they do the pit right dance forever in every season, people just keep getting further. Yeah, exactly. I love it, man. This is great. Um, definitely let me know how you guys think. Obviously, you're on Twitch, man. We're happy as shit about this, man. I'm sure there might be some D4 haters still out there. And again, I'm gonna try not to get too excited. We'll see what happens when it comes out. I will play the shit out of it for sure. Um, Especially if it comes out in May. That's actually almost perfect timing because you've got um PoE coming right around here. So everybody will pretty much be wrapping up PoE League. I don't know if Last Epoch has any, cycle dates or anything yet, but it's a perfect time, man. It's great. W.